Welcome to the Backlash, a weekly discussion about the past, present, and future of Western civilization. I am your host, Rebecca Hargraves, flanked to my right by Dave Riley, the just now sitting down in the nick of time, Mr. Dave Riley.
Nick.
What's going on? Good to be with everybody on this beautiful Ash Wednesday today.
It is a beautiful day.
It's a nice day.
How you doing, Vince?
Good.
Yeah?
Pretty well. I got my sample.
Oh, nice.
Tallow sample.
Yep. That's the lip balm, right?
It's the lip balm. That's right.
How you doing, Cameron?
Very good. Very, very good, guys. I am not surprised to see Vince as a very successful soap salesman. Somehow that fits with his general personality.
Yeah, someone was making fun of the clip that we did the other day of the Idaho tallow ad, and I was like calling Rabbi Shmuley, who we're going to be talking about again today, dirty.
No, it was Pollard.
Oh, it was Pollard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I get them mixed up. They look the same.
Because they're both
they
greasy and
both look
disgusting.
dysgenic, right?
Oh my
and I was like,
gosh.
oh, and then Idaho tallow, and someone was like, you should have just been like about the soap, and
I
then
know.
turning them into soap. I was
Seems like a real missed opportunity.
yeah, totally.
We're going to
missed
get
opportunity.
dropped by our sponsors if you
Right.
keep it up. Jeez.
Again.
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 I don't really want to talk about this Trump speech to Congress. I know everyone's talking about it. I watched it last night and I was like, wow, no new information. It was political theater. And he didn't really give us any insights into the Trump administration or strategy for that matter. Does he have a strategy? What is his strategy? Are they all compromised or just most of them? I think they're all compromised. What about you guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't even know that there was a Trump speech that happened. I didn't see any clips of it on Twitter.
I didn't either.
It was pretty
So-
boring.
People were saying that it was the State of the Union, but that's not the
Incorrect.
State of
It's
the
not the
Union.
State of the Union, yeah.
The State of the Union happens after he's been in office for a year, from what I understand.
yeah.
But it felt like a rehash of all of the same old campaign talking points, the campaign speeches. He brought up all of the same people that he brings up, in those
All the
speeches.
time,
So
all the time.
there was nothing materially or substantially new. I thought that he might be announcing, like, we're pulling out of NATO or something
like that,
big,
right.
but it was
Right.
just like a campaign event.
But he did not. So we've decided to talk about other things this week. Which of these topics is a legitimate move forward? Which is just Trump showmanship? All of this and more on this week's installment of your favorite podcast. Everybody that is watching this is their favorite podcast. I know it. I get it in the comments.
True.
And then the bad ones, the negative ones, I just delete.
Just block them.
Yeah, just block 'em.
Block them. Those people don't matter.
They don't matter. Find us on Subscribestar at subscribestar.com/thebacklash. You want to pull up our website on Patreon. All of our links are on our website. Most importantly, get your chats in live at thebacklash.net/super chat. We use Power Chats, Entropy, Streamlabs, and we will read your questions, comments, and general abuse at the end of the show. Let's get to it. But first, we do have a sponsor. Hit it, Dave.
I will.
Hit it.
Let's see here. Hold on, I gotta clear my throat first and put my
I'm sure
radio
this is
voice
what
on.
Antelope Hill really wants.
Antelope Hill Publishing. I'm not gonna be able to read it straight. Antelope Hill Publishing is America's leading publisher of dissident books, including a wide array of both original works and new first-time translations of important historical titles. Our catalog focuses on bringing you books that mainstream publishers won't touch, books that challenge the ruling orthodoxy on history, politics, and the twisted nature of the system that we live under. Among our titles are works like the Open Society Playbook, a deep dive into the web of NGOs and shadowy government funding that has recently come under fire in the USAID scandal for spreading left-wing ideological corruption at home and abroad. We are also proud to publish The American Regime by Christian Secor, initially written anonymously by the author while in prison for his actions on January 6th, examining how the American Leviathan functions. If you are listening to this show, you will not be disappointed in these or any of the other books available from Antelope Hill Publishing. You can view their catalog and make purchases directly from antelopehillpublishing.com. Supporting independent creators and businesses directly. Check us out today. There it is.
Good job.
Good
Did a
job.
good job.
Thanks, Dave.
That
We
was a good
appreciate it.
read.
You guys want to get to the news? I assume everybody saw this RFK tweet. He actually had a few things this week. So first, I think that this is the order of events. First, he supports the MMR vaccine.
Oh,
did you see that?
That's not it. Hold on.
Sorry,
do you have it
I
linked?
misled you. Yeah, that's the first
You
one.
totally misled me. Jeez.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So first, he had said in the past, in this reason, Kennedy claims many vaccines do more harm than good. I ask, if your kids were young now, would you give them measles, mumps, rubella, the MMR vaccine? He says, no, studies show that kids who get measles as a child are much healthier when they grow up, resistant to cancers, atopic diseases, etc. Let's go to that second slide. This is a Fox News headline. Vaccines not only protect individual children from measles, but also contribute to community immunity, protecting those who are unable to be vaccinated due to medical reasons. So now he's advocating for MMR, whether or not you are anti-vaccine, which of course you should be. This is a massive change in basically everything that he stands for. Even Trump last night talked about autism being much more common, although did not say anything about the vaccines.
What was the number that he said? It was
1 in 32, I think he said.
1 in 32?
And he said it used to be
like 1 in 10,000.
Right.
Well, the excuse that people will give is that, it's just now being diagnosed more often. It's like, no, dude, that's not normal.
No, there's an uptick in autism for sure. There is
Yeah.
diagnosis drift. That is true, but that doesn't attribute to all the increase in autism cases.
And the cancer cases are up. Everything's up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
Suicides up. Everything.
let's pull up this anti-Semitism tweet because he's had a real doozy of a
Oh,
week.
jeez.
Secretary Kinney, anti-Semitism, like racism, is a spiritual and moral malady that sickens society and kills people with lethalities comparable to history's most deadly plagues. In recent years, the censorship and false narratives of woke cancel culture have transformed our great universities into greenhouses for this deadly and virulent pestilence. Making America healthy means building communities of trust and mutual respect. That is the biggest Stanley Cup ever. I
know. Isn't it great? It holds 40 ounces.
It's great for you.
My friend sent it to me. Oh, you can't read it. Oh,
No.
I get it.
Dave has become a
about
basic bitch.
I know, right? But he
with his
drinks a
Stanley
lot of
Cup.
water.
Well,
He's got Uggs on right now under the table. He's wearing
Stop it.
Uggs.
I
That
wear
is
is it
true.
5'11" boots.
I
don't
didn't
know. I
even
wear
finish.
Jack boots,
Hold
Vince.
up, everyone. Making America healthy means building communities of trust and mutual respect based on speech, freedom, and open debate. What does this sound like to you?
Well, I'll tell you this. If you look at his tweet, it says it compares to history's most deadly plagues.
Oh.
You know who started the plague? I'm just joking.
Something called well poisoning. I don't know.
It was rats.
Well, I was going to pull up this tweet because I actually did pretty good on this one. How many? What are we at? 1.6? Not as viral as my Epstein stuff.
Nice.
But I was just like, Kennedy's about to declare an anti-Semitism pandemic and use contact tracing on Americans who don't support Israel or are falsely labeled anti-Semites by people like the dildo rabbi Shmuley Boteach. Tired of winning yet? Here's your based HHS secretary.
Yeah.
And then I put the pictures of him with the
Rabbi
guy who
Shmuley.
totally didn't allegedly, have anything to do with Michael Jackson's untimely death. He was innocent, by the way.
Gosh, he's grotesque. And then look who else he's hanging out with. Can you pull up the RFK Russell Brand link?
Yes.
Okay, so why is he hanging out with Russell Brand and Dr. Oz?
Bruh.
What are you doing?
What?
What is he holding? A lizard?
A lizard, yeah.
It's a tiny alligator, maybe?
Oh, yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah.
He does weird things with animals, right?
No, I don't know. Of all the things that RFK has done, this is the stuff that I care the least about. He studied a whale's brain that had washed up on shore, and then he found a dead bear.
And he put it in the trunk of his car and drove it home.
No, he put it in Central Park, didn't he?
What a weird guy.
I know this is like a really weird thing to do, but he didn't kill the bear.
Who knows? Who knows? He didn't kill his first wife, right? She just hung herself after it all came out that he was hanging out and flying around with Epstein.
Hanging out. Yeah.
Right. He flew on Lolita Express three times.
I know. So this all seems to me like he got the call. We have a clip too, RFK on Dave Smith. This was also shocking. I'm pretty sure this was this week.
I don't agree with that, but okay. Do you
What happened?
have concerns about the level of Israeli influence in our politics here in the United States of America?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a politician in political office, so I don't see much of that.
I don't agree with that.
Oh my
but okay.
gosh.
That
I
is
don't
so
know.
funny. It's like it took a minute for the brainworm to start responding for him.
Yeah.
You know, there was like a lag. Oh
It's
my.
like that Bongino clip we watched last week where Bongino was like, they were asking him about, what was it? He was, it was, the
The
Epstein
Mossad
being a
thing.
Mossad
Some
agent.
country in the Middle East.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah.
which one.
Right.
We're like, okay, ridiculous. So I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe I sound conspiratorial, but everybody remembers this. Trump vowed to leverage federal money to fight anti-Semitism. Here's what he's starting at Columbia. So I'm wondering if if RFK gets the call, and then this is all laying the groundwork so that the Trump administration can use RICO to silence anti-Semitism in the general population. Do I sound insane?
And then have like Palantir like track us all.
Yeah.
And then also like give us vaccines for MMR.
Am I crazy? Is this like high level conspiracy stuff? Because it seems fairly obvious that this is what's happening, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there are articles. This is just like the first one that came up, but I remember back during COVID that there were articles where they were comparing anti-Semitism to a highly contagious virus.
Right.
Like he just did.
And there was
Virulent.
the Authoritarian Personality by Max Horkheimer and Theodore Adorno. That was, I think, at one time the largest study on like the psyche of Americans, the psyche of like Westerners, because they wanted never again to never happen again, right?
Yeah.
Never
well,
again.
And so
yeah, exactly.
they were like, the way that whole program started was, well, we can just lobotomize all of these
Yeah,
people.
no, literally. They did.
Literally.
And by the way, if you don't know who Max Horkheimer and Theodore Adorno were, they were the scholars at the
Frankfurt
School. Right. And so, when we look at critical theory, critical race theory, all these things, they used to say that whiteness was a disease, was a virus. But now, of course, you can't say this about any other race except for white people.
Of course, right.
And they, that sort of way of thinking infiltrated our universities on the East Coast, some of our Ivy League universities on the East Coast, and then sort of made its way throughout the U.S. and throughout the West.
And of course, they don't talk about that. When they say wokeness now, they don't mean critical race theory or critical gender theory.
Right.
They mean like if you teach that Palestine existed
Right.
like before 1948, or whatever, because these people think that like Palestinians aren't real, that they're fake, that their country is fake, that their history is fake. And it's like really one of the most dystopian ideologies ever. And so this is now, they're combating wokeness, and by combating wokeness, they're literally just combating the truth at this point.
Cameron, what do you think? Reality or conspiracy?
About the anti-Semitism.
Well, I mean,
tracking.
typically speaking, for there to be a conspiracy, there has to be some kind of surreptitious nature about it. There has to be some kind of secretive element. I don't think there's any secret anymore. In order to acquire power in the United States, or theatrical power, electoral power, you have to make a pact. You have to make a pact with the special interests, which are nothing less than an albatross around the neck of the United States. It's why our government doesn't function properly. It's why the military-industrial complex is untoward. It's why Wall Street doesn't work. It's why Big Pharma doesn't work, et cetera, et cetera. And what you're seeing is that these people that were praised as reformers, as revolutionaries in some sense, to come into office and transform the system, made their pact with the devil. And that's how they got the position of authority they have. And that basically means that what we're looking at is an administration that's completely invalid. It's captured. And that extends all the way to the top of the Trump administration with Donald Trump himself. He made an agreement in order to be president. And as I've said before, the fiction entertained by people on MAGA on the right is that, well, that's just politics. This is business as usual, or rather, this is politics as a possibility, or it's the art of the possible, I guess I should say. unfortunately, we're now facing serious crises across the board. And capitulating to these special interests not only compromises people that are in elected office, but it's making it increasingly impossible for them to do their jobs, which means that the functioning of government is starting to slow down, if not completely seize up. So this administration, I think, categorically speaking, is a fraud. That's what it is. It's not going to achieve any of the transformational promises that were made. And here we sit. Trump had promised a bevy of things, and none of them have happened. Is it any wonder why? No, of course not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess now would be a good time to talk about Epstein, which we all beat to death on Twitter. So check us out on Twitter. I'm at blondes_tweets. Why did he have to rebrand to X? It really screwed up everything for me.
It's still Twitter.
Yeah.
Everyone says Twitter.
Everyone says Twitter. It's fine. So we aren't going to go into it too deep, but let's talk a little bit about the update on Epstein files. So why did this is pretty rhetorical for all of us at this point, but why did they march out Conservative Inc.? We have a clip. Can you pull up clip 2? Jack Posobiec, this fucking guy.
All right, here we go. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, this guy.
Pam Bondi, and congratulations to her, thanks to her, a hero, a patriot, a stalwart defender of transparency, and by the way, someone who puts the actual interests of victims first and foremost in everything that she does, as well as the well-being of the American people and those who have been affected by heinous crimes like that of Jeffrey Epstein and his associates that conducted these mass factory-style pedophile operations. So
He just has to kiss her ass for like 30 seconds before he talks about anything.
This is the epitome of what Cameron was talking about, right? They've all been assimilated. They've all been assimilated into the system. They've all been compromised from the bottom up, from the top down. They've all been compromised. You know, you look at RFK and it's like, dude, there was someone in your family that was murdered by the Mossad.
I know.
Like, you would think that he would be two people that were, like, you would think that he would be one of the people that the ADL's freaking out about. Like, the ADL used to freak out about Trump. The ADL would have been freaking out about, in 2015, 2016, about Elon Musk throwing up a Roman salute.
Yeah.
But they're all being protected. They're not freaking out about them anymore. They've all been assimilated. They've all been compromised. And Jack Posobiec is a perfect example of this. And I don't know if you could pull up my tweet on Jack Posobiec. I don't have access right now on this machine.
Jeez.
But I just tweeted something out about Jack Posobiec the other day. You know, back in the day, and you might remember this, Dave, like, he was sort of teetering on being based, right? He would say certain things. He would do certain things. He was at the deplorable, and you know, he would tweet certain things. And he actually bought a few of the shirts from my shop back when I had the Red Elephants
I bet he burned
podcast.
it.
He maybe now he did, but he bought a few shirts from my shop. He was a fan. And now he's just totally compromised. And this is a perfect example, perfect analogy for the entirety of the Trump administration. And here's Jack Posobiec being asked about Epstein being a Mossad agent.
When was this?
This
This
was
was
back in
2016.
2018, I think.
Is it 2018?
I think so.
It could have been.
Yeah,
Let's take a
2018.
look.
We're going to get about Jeffrey Epstein being an Israeli military intelligence agent.
I don't know what to think about that.
It's pretty bad. We should root it out.
What's some stickers there?
He doesn't know what to think about that. He knows.
He knows.
He
Of
said
course
it
he knows.
before. He said it to me personally. He said these things to
and
me.
you think like Cernovich and Liz Wheeler
Right.
don't know about this. So I'm hearing a lot of people like, oh, well, they just wanted to bring these conservative media figures down. They want to destroy the alternative media. I'm like, that's BS. These people are part of it. Every single one of them is part of it. They knew what was happening. This elaborate response from Liz Wheeler about how they got duped and this wasn't an event where they thought that they were going to get the Epstein files and it's not their fault and everything. I'm not buying any of it.
Here's another one. This is from Sam Parker, who did a great job, like, you know, doxing everybody in the room.
Tirade, yeah.
He was texting me. He's like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah, I know. He was texting me. He was like, "Do you know who this guy is?" I'm like, I've never seen. I'll run it through my program or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we got a lot of interesting people in here, but almost every single one of them Every one of them is pro-Israel, pro-Zionist,
Well, Mike
homosexual.
Cernovich is like friends with frickin' or former friends with Epstein's lawyer.
Well, no,
Dershowitz.
Alan
Well, and
Dershowitz,
this
yeah.
was one of the tweets that I put out. I don't know if it's up here. Give me a second. I'll find it.
Yeah, I mean, he's in pictures with Dershowitz. He's in videos with Dershowitz, and now people are trying to sell it like, oh, he was the one who sued to get the. Where are the Epstein files? Where are they? If something substantive does come out about the Mossad or whatever, it's all going to be filtered through the same controlled opposition conservative Inc.
Oh,
sphere.
of course.
So here's the one that I got, which I'll pull up here on the screen.
Yeah.
This one went. This is probably my most viral tweet ever. By the way, thank you all for liking and retweeting it. 4 million views. Only got paid $17 for it. Thanks.
What?
Yeah. My pay period this past go around, I got
I got 200 for my 6 million tweet.
I got $17 for 10 million impressions.
All you have to do is just
I
get
am
pregnant by
super
someone
shadow
who works
banned.
for
Yeah,
Twitter,
really.
and then you'll get like
Look at their
7,000.
faces. This is so
But yeah,
disgusting.
no. So this is what I put out though. Is it's like people aren't aware that Mike Cernovich and Alan Dershowitz were both on the same side of getting documents, and Dershowitz was attempting to do it to discredit Virginia Giuffre, the whistleblower who came out and did a bunch of interviews with Whitney Webb and whatnot. And so it's like this is the guy that is now being given these Epstein documents to release. Like,
right.
Hello.
So it becomes this huge dud, just massive dud. Can you pull up this FBI fired story? And so Pam Bondi's like, well, shit, I got to do something about this. So they fire James Dennehy. What's his position? A top special agent overseeing the New York City field office.
That's a senior supervisory resident agent, right? SSRA?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually am not entirely sure. So he said late Friday, I was informed that I needed to put my retirement papers in today, which I just did. Assistant director in charge of FBI New York division. I was not given a reason for this decision. I would imagine that this is punitive, and Pam Bondi felt like somebody's head had to roll for this. And then she goes out and she's saying, can you pull up this Fox News?
Oh, wasn't I just there?
Well, hold on a second. So this is the question. This is the thing that no one's talking about. Someone printed those binders.
Yeah.
Someone took a lot
A
of
lot of
time
time to do
print
that,
the
yeah.
binders and print
Knowing-
the covers of the binders,
Right.
knowing what was in there. I think that they thought that this was going to pull a fast one on all of us.
Yeah.
And like, we're releasing the files and
Yeah,
here's the show.
Like
And
we
then
wouldn't know.
Everyone called it out, and so now they're like, someone's head has to roll. Now
It's
they're
like
saying
it's
there's
SDNY,
truckloads of there's truckloads of information.
And now she's saying she's over-promising again, like she did with Jesse Waters, and she's saying that the FBI delivered a truckload of Epstein files on
Right.
Friday. Now what they're saying is the clip after this in the outline, or it's not a clip, but a truckload. That's the one. Now they're saying, of course, it's going to be heavily redacted. Of course, we're not going to get any information, but what she's learned from this situation where her reputation was absolutely destroyed, people were incredibly mad about this. What she does again is overpromise, and then they're clearly going to underdeliver. We are never ever going to get these files. We're never going to get
There it
these
is.
files.
Breaking. Pam Bondi says national security information will be redacted from Epstein files. What is national security information? Oh, could it
what does
mean
that mean?
anything that has to do with Israel?
Yeah.
To make sure that people don't freak out about our greatest ally?
Yeah,
or to
absolutely.
make sure that people aren't freaking out about all of the people in Congress that
That are compromised, that are
Right.
totally
That had
compromised.
That would be a big national
inappropriate
security risk.
inappropriate contact with minors.
Yep. Yeah. You guys tired of winning yet?
I mean, Cameron was just talking about this. Like, it just seems like a lot of these so-called wins are sort of superficial. I mean, yeah, a lot of the stuff with Doge or whatever is good stuff, but it's sort of like it's not hard hitting. It's not deep cutting, right? Like we wanted the deep cut wins, the totally transformational moves that were promised to us, and there aren't big transformational moves
No,
being made.
of course
We're not
not.
saying. Have we had an update about the ICE arrests lately? I haven't seen
No.
any updates about that.
No.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen. There was
No, we did have an update. I just saw earlier today that we are no longer going to be using the big military planes
Yeah,
to
to deport
transport them.
people. So
because
how are we
like they were the
deporting them?
big ones that you could fit the most people in.
Right.
So
I
now
did see
that they
that too.
can't do that, they're necessarily either going to have to fly more planes or they're going to be cutting down on the number of people that they're actually deporting.
We actually are going to talk about that next. Cameron, did you have anything to say about the Epstein files and this totally botched release this week, or what's to come in the following week?
Look, I don't think it wasn't unexpected, at least not on my part, because I'm black-pilled. But look, I think this is a very good thing, okay? Because I do think there is a sense from the powers that be, the real power behind the throne. We know who they are. It's a special interest dominated by AIPAC, Big Pharma, and others, that they can sort of lull the opposition to sleep. We are the opposition, MAGA, etc. I don't think that's going to work. And I think what they're doing unwittingly is they're completely invalidating the electoral process. They're invalidating the Trump administration, root and branch. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, their assumption is that people will just sort of go right back to sleep and they'll be happy with their MAGA shirts and their Make America Great Again slogans, and that's it. I don't think so. And I don't think so for a couple of reasons. One is that the virality of awakening that's happening on Twitter, I think on alternative media in general, is profound. Lots of people know about Epstein. They want answers to those questions. I think they're going to get them. The second reason I think that is because in addition to the momentum that's in the alternative press, Donald Trump was not elected necessarily in 2024 exclusively as a revenge campaign. Okay, that may have been part of it, to be sure, but he was elected to repair a very damaged economy that I think is falling apart. He has a limited window of time in which he's got to get things under control. He's got to get inflation under control. He's got to get the cost of living down. He's got to shore up the labor market. If he doesn't do that, then there's going to be enormous pressure brought to bear on him. And that's going to substantiate a lot of this momentum to get the truth, to get disclosure about the untoward nature of our relationship with Israel, of all kinds of government corruption, be that pedophilia, 9/11, Epstein, all the rest of it. In other words, this is not going to go away, and this is going to strengthen the alternative media. It's not going to defang it, which is what I think Trump's backers think is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what they release in this truckload of information that has been obtained or whatever, I think no matter what is released, I think people are going to call it out. And I think, Cam's right. I think it's maybe a good thing that these Epstein files are never going to come out, because this is sort of going to awaken the bear. And, they could crush that on Twitter. They could take it all away from us.
But how foolish is Trump that he doesn't see the larger power of the internet? We went through all of the WikiLeaks.
Well, he's a boomer.
Yeah, but he was into the WikiLeaks thing in 2016. He knew what was going on with WikiLeaks.
Well, he was into a lot of things in 2016. I mean, look what RFK was saying. Like, now what? We got him talking about anti-Semitism and MMR vaccines.
But I just don't believe that Trump doesn't know that we were not going to look through these Epstein files and be like, we've seen all this stuff before. There's no way he didn't know that. He knows the power of the internet.
I think
Trump made a calculation, right? So did RFK Jr. So did the rest of his administration. Okay, Tulsi Gabbard and the rest, and they said, "Look, I have a choice here. I can either stay true to what I believe in, committed to the truth, to disclosure, to holding the power structure accountable, or I can be part of the fraternity." And remember that if you become part of the fraternity, and all of you guys know this quite well, but you get rich. You get invited to all the cocktail parties. You get to be a winning president. You get to have the greatest comeback of all time, according to Donald Trump. And ultimately, they decided on the scale of justice that weighed more than staying true to their word. It's just that simple. That's what happened.
And it's not just with the president. I mean, we were just talking about Jack Posobiec, Cernovich, all these people. They gave up the truth for the money.
And that is really the wager that all of us are making right now, right?
Yep.
True.
Everybody's like, stop e-bagging, stop e-bagging. I'm like, this is what we have to do so that we can talk about the truth. Yeah.
There's no incentive for these big corporations, the banks, the chains. There's no incentive for them to promote the truth. I mean, for God's sakes, I was just seeing an article a couple of days ago about how there's this food production company that is designing food that will now skirt Ozempic. So like if you're like taking Ozempic to lose weight or whatever, then like they're going to be putting this new drug in the food that'll make you eat more of it, because these food companies are seeing their revenues go down. People are eating less because of this. And they're like, well, we can't have that negatively affect our profits. So let's like put this like drug in the food that's going to make them eat more. I mean, that's how sick this society is. It's like this like Edward Bernays marketing society of truth has nothing to do. Plus, we're like basically living in like a post-truth world anyway.
Yeah.
Where like depending on who you follow on Twitter dictates how you see world events happening. And if you don't see a tweet, then
but
it
it's
just
always
doesn't
been
exist.
this way throughout history. People have always had
True.
to decide if they're going to tell the truth or if they're going to take the money.
Right.
And that is why every organization is fundamentally corrupted, including the post-Vatican II Catholic Church.
True. Simulator get crushed.
But don't underestimate the extent to which opium can sour very quickly. It's fair to say that a lot of people on the right are benighted, right? That they sort of indulge in the fantasy that hero ball, right? That one man named Donald Trump, who's a marketing genius, allegedly or otherwise, is going to ride in and save us, okay? That he single-handedly is going to overturn this entire system of corruption that affects every level of our infrastructure, both in the government and in the private sector. That itself is a fantasy, right? Because it absolves the population of the responsibility to fix these things ourselves. Now, ultimately, that responsibility does rest with us, and we're going to wake up, I think, against our own will in many cases, but we will wake up and come to realize that. I addressed this in an essay I wrote a few months ago, right after Trump was elected. I said, this is the last election, because if Trump is proved sort of invalid or compromised, as you guys are implicating, and I think increasingly that seems very clear, then so is the electoral process. Then the notion that somehow we can elect our way out of this is going to die.
Right.
And I think that's what we're witnessing. We're just watching the democratic process that the majority of MAGA Americans still believe in. That's dying before our eyes. And it needs to die, because that's the only way we can fix this country.
But they need to save it. And in order to save it, they need to give us they need like a pressure release. They need something that's kind of substantive in the Epstein files to restore faith in the government, to restore faith in the MAGA movement. And if they can't achieve that, which I don't think that they're going to be able to achieve that, I think no matter what comes out,
because
people are
we
gonna get
want
on
the
them.
Mossad connection.
Right.
That's what
Yeah,
we
people
want.
are going to call for that.
And people are not going to take any of the little crumbs outside of that.
The only people that are going to fall for it are the boomers.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, it's just the boomers. Anyone younger than Gen X, than older Gen X, they're not going to fall for it. And it's like assimilate for these people. It's like assimilate or get crushed.
Yep.
Have you ever seen the movie The Faculty?
No.
You never seen that movie? It's like an old, I think it's like late 90s movie about an alien takeover of the town, and the only way they find a way to kill him, and they have to stab him with a pen full of like caffeine drugs that like dry him out. and basically what it is, it's like they take over the town, and it's like you become one of us or you get crushed. And that's essentially what the Trump administration has become. And the people, the groups surrounding the Trump administration, the conservative, the people, a lot of these people used to be based. Most of these people know.
Yeah.
They know what we know. They've said the things that we've said.
Jack Posobiec's been around since the beginning. Like, you cannot tell me he doesn't.
He was at parties at like Richard Spencer's house back in the alt-right days.
Yeah.
People forget about that.
Well, that's disappointing.
There's clips of him
I like
saying,
Richard.
There's like pictures
No,
of
no,
him
that's
with
disappointing
Richard,
that Jack was on the right path.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you remember he took his honeymoon in Israel?
Oh, yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that
I
too?
saw that.
That was recently.
That was when he got married. I think
After
that was
he
like
got
2020
assimilated.
or something like that. Yeah, he got brought in. He was also military intelligence. I think that Jack Posobiec was naval intelligence. And a lot of his connections are from that kind of like private government contracting world where like I was mentioning it on a space. I have information that the Declaration of Memes account is run by a BAE private contractor.
What?
BAE Systems is literally like they make bombs and planes and like war materials, and like the guy that runs that account works for them.
Yeah.
And he posts these memes about like not paying taxes or whatever to like reel you in.
But it's not always
But
like
then
that. I
they
think
divert
it's
you.
people go into this. They have this mentality that becoming controlled opposition is a really cut and dry thing. Like somebody offers you money and you take that money kind of knowing what you're doing, and then you shut your mouth. But it doesn't always happen like that. Like
Slowly.
It happens slowly. Like sometimes you're on a podcast with somebody for 10 years, and then they'll just say a few things about how you can't talk about race. And then you really need the money. And so you notice that you just self-censor. And then one day you wake up and you're like, wow, I've been doing
gay.
this thing. Yeah, okay, I'm homosexual. But you kind of become controlled opposition through a series of your own small choices to self-censor. And I think that that's how a lot of people got there. I think Liz Wheeler and like Jack Posobiec, I think they're getting the big J bucks.
Yeah, there's some
So,
people
yeah.
that do that. Like literally Jews, Hasidic Jews walked up to me at CPAC one time and said, "We love your show. But can you like not talk about this? And
Are
not
you
talk about-"
serious?
Oh, yeah. I was walking with Nick.
How much money?
No, they didn't offer me money. They were
Money.
just money. They just
That was a
They were
Florida.
offering to make you moan.
have you seen those,
We'll
those
take you in
TikTok
the back
videos?
room.
Get that money. But yeah, I mean, they were just sort of. But I'm sure like these people they're getting the big.
They're
bucks,
getting the
right?
big bucks,
and
yeah.
that's the filter. That's the filter for us is they
Yeah.
need to filter all this stuff that comes out through them, and so
And that's
most
what they're
people don't
doing,
see it.
yeah. I think that there's a lot of hopium surrounding Hegseth too.
Yeah.
Because of his Iron Cross tattoo, that seems to be like the only thing that people talk about when they're talking about how he's based.
Well, it's not the only thing. I mean, I've heard things about Pete that are said in private, people that know him.
Yeah, but he's got mega kiss the wall energy, and he's said a
Yeah.
lot of stuff along those lines too. Yeah.
He does.
Well, they
now,
all-
before we move on from the Epstein thing, though, I want to point out like the obvious connection. I know it's like super obvious. We've already said it, and all of the intelligence that we have shows that Jeffrey Epstein worked for Mossad.
Yeah.
That his blackmail operation was a Mossad operation. But there's another angle of this where we've got this situation right now in Gaza, right? We've got Trump and who's that other guy? Cameron, help me, Cameron.
Cameron's like, what?
Who's the guy that's doing the negotiations? He's blanking from my mind right now. Anyway,
Witkoff.
Steve
Witkoff,
Witkoff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Witkoff, yes.
Right. So we've got Witkoff that's currently like negotiating the ceasefire, and I think we mentioned it on Monday's episode with Simulated Flesh. Very interesting discussion.
Flesh
by the way.
simulator.
Whatever. Flesh simulator. Simulated flesh.
You said that so confidently.
He's never going to come back on the show. No, anyway, but the point is that there are like active negotiations happening right now about what's going on in Gaza, what Israel's doing. And Jonathan Pollard brought up in a recent podcast that he did that he believes that Epstein has blackmail on Netanyahu.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean,
I wouldn't be
if
surprised.
there is in the Epstein files that we're in possession of information implicating Bibi, there is like an element of this where, Trump could just be making the Israelis sweat. I'm just to play devil's advocate a little bit on
Are
it.
you 4D chessing me right now?
No, I'm not. But I just wanted to put it out there because like just today we have this new tweet from Trump. Shalom Hamas means hello and goodbye. You can choose. Release all the hostages now or later and immediately return all of the dead bodies of these people that you murdered, or it is over for you. Blah, blah, blah. And he goes on. Release the hostages now or there will be hell to pay later. President Trump. You know what I mean?
He wrote that for sure.
He
Yeah.
literally writes this. But the thing is, if the Epstein files came out, would he be able to take these types of postures? Would he be able to back up Israel in this way? No. The plain answer is no. If we actually had disclosure on the Epstein issue, then the American sentiment for Israel would be negative, like -0, and we wouldn't be giving the Likudniks what they want. So I'm not saying that he's playing 4D chess, but I'm saying it's like incredibly obvious why he's incentivized to not release the files.
Oh, yeah.
Because if they release the files, then this dog and pony show that they're doing over there with Trump Gaza is over. And it's
I don't think the average American is thinking like this, though.
no.
They're not at all. And so he can pull one over on 95%
Yes.
of Americans, right? And so in that way, I mean, maybe we've underestimated him. He does
Except
have
for
his...
the people on Twitter,
Except
which
for
isn't
the
most
on Twitter.
people.
The
That is
gay
true.
kids.
That is definitely true. Let's pull up this Hegseth on border control. So the tweet, there we go. Okay. Hegseth has said, we're dead serious about 100% operational control of the southern border. So, Cameron, I was hoping you could explain this to me. Does this just mean that, I assume this is some sort of military term, that he wants every single foot of the border to be under watch, that everything that goes to the border is going to be accounted for? What does operational control mean from a military standpoint?
Well, I mean, yeah, from a military standpoint, that's more or less what it means. But to answer your question, I have no idea what he means. And I don't think he does either. Again, what's the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the strategy? What's the vision? Month by month, what are we doing? Where's the program? Who's in charge? Okay. The Secretary of Defense is an administrative position. If you're going to deploy military forces to the border, if you're going to operationalize or militarize the problem, as I've referred to it, that means you appoint somebody that's in the operational military who becomes a general or an admiral on the field. They then have the responsibility for all the forces or combatant commanders in that area. That's not Hegseth.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this seems to me like it's theater.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's not theater, it could be incompetence once again. And these people all seem to be the same. They lead by tweet. Where's the substance, right? So I learned this week that we're beefing up, I suppose you could use that term, the volume of troops that are at the U.S. border. But it's still a pittance, right? As I've said before, I mean, you need tens of thousands of U.S. troops currently that are deployed all over the world to get on the Mexican border, as we've had historically, and get control of a crime state called Mexico that's funneling ungodly amounts of drugs and human trafficking and paying off border control, so forth and so on, to literally undermine the national security of the United States. So I'm not sure what he means. I don't think he knows what he means. And there doesn't appear to be any strategy, any vision. And of course, this is one of the hallmarks of Trump. There is no strategy, but there's a lot of talk.
Yep. Yeah, totally. So this did come out this week. Trump is sending 3,000 more troops and combat vehicles to the U.S.-Mexico border. However, Hegseth has said that these military personnel will not partake in any deportation operations. So what are they doing? They're just hanging out there.
We're just kind of just hanging out.
Yeah. I mean, Cameron, what are they doing if they're not participating
Well,
in
again,
any?
I don't know. There are a couple things to understand here, okay? Part of what I think is going on is that the Trump administration is coming to grips with the fact that what's happening at the southern border, and frankly, the immigration crisis across the United States, which is deep and severe. You know, as we've discussed before, the immigration crisis can be felt everywhere, from New England down to Florida, out to Idaho, where you folks are, okay? So this is a national crisis, and I think what the Trump administration is beginning to figure out is that Mexico is a crime state. There's no legitimate political authority in Mexico. There's no counterpart to the U.S. State Department in Mexico. It is quite literally a state dominated by organized crime, either directly or indirectly, and that goes all the way up to the top. So that's part of what's happening. The other issue is that you have a time bomb in the United States. I think the numbers are, and you can check me on this, Dave, but I think something like 70% of the armed forces consist of Mexican Americans, okay, in the U.S. military. Now, there's some question about loyalty, particularly if escalation with Mexico happens, never mind the illegal immigrant population that's here. So this is a very thorny political issue. And the longer or rather, I should say, the deeper that we extend into this problem, it's going to become very clear that we're in a full-scale war with Mexico, which is not just a crime state, it's not just a failed country, but it represents a civilizational conflict with America. Ultimately, it's a fault line between us and Latin America, between Western civilization and non-Western civilization. That's what this is all about.
Absolutely. And Dave just pulled up that 18.4% of armed forces in America are Hispanic or Latino. That's 1 in 5. Yeah. That is astronomically high. So let's
it's just like Border Patrol.
Oh,
Border Patrol is the same thing. It's more than 18%.
Right.
It's like most of them. Every time I see a video of Border Patrol, it's mostly Hispanics.
At that point, it's basically a mercenary army that has no allegiance to America.
Well, they don't have allegiance to their own people, clearly, because they're taking a paycheck from America.
Well, you guys were showing that article. Trump is sending 3,000 more troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. I mean, this is a war that I would support.
I know, finally, a worthwhile war.
This is like, go to war with the drug. Pull up that tweet from the alert tweet that you just had up there.
Leading report, yeah.
Leading report. If Mexico does not deal with the collusion between the country's government and drug cartels, the U.S. military is prepared to take unilateral action. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth-Holt has reportedly, I think they messed up, has reportedly told Mexican officials. Interesting. War with Mexico.
I'm fine with that. Wipe them out, all of them.
Just take out the cartels.
This is going to happen. This war is going to happen. It is imminent, and it is a serious war. And as Vince said, it is a war that we should fight. It's a war historically that we fought. We fought against Mexico in the 1840s, and we've had skirmishing along the Mexican border for most of our history. That's what a lot of people do not understand. And yes, we're going to have to deploy conventional military power across that border to deal with the Sinaloa cartel. And I think there's something like 180 different armed groups in Mexico that represent criminality of various kinds. Only a military solution can solve this. Now, what does that mean? It does not necessarily mean that we invade Mexico full stop. What it does mean is that we penetrate deeply inside that country, destroy all the supply chains, attack the head of the snake, and then we create some kind of a demilitarized zone and build a border wall. Okay, again, what I'm describing is a strategy. This is what you have not heard from the Trump administration. But what complicates this matter is the rear guard action. And that is the Hispanic population in the United States, the volume of illegal immigrants, which, remember, represent a voting bloc that supports the Democratic Party. What does that mean for the government, for Congress? It means that you're going to see divisiveness over any war with Mexico, because a lot of those people aren't loyal to the United States either. So this is a very serious crisis, and we're just at the beginning of it.
Yeah, and Mexico has a Jewish president.
Yeah.
I wonder if she was installed for this very reason.
I heard,
perhaps.
I'll have to look it up in a minute, but I heard that there was several, 40 people that got assassinated.
Oh yeah,
which led to her winning.
Yep.
They just started
seriously.
They just started murdering people to make sure that she won. She won.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
I remember when I was
it's so wildly corrupt.
When I was in Mexico in, was it 2020? It was during COVID or whatever. I was doing some work for a coffee company, and there was 36 assassinations that political cycle, and it's just regular for them.
Yeah, that's how it works.
These cartels, and I have a tweet. You've got Tren de Aragua, MS-13, Sinaloa, United Cartels, Gulf Cartel. There's a bunch of these. There's a bunch of these.
Yeah.
And what's disturbing, and I know we've said it once, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face, who trained them? Who gave them their guns?
There was a video I tweeted out. Actually, you're not going to be able to, it's too deep in my timeline, but it's from some very popular, I don't know what the podcast is. Do you know what podcast is? Did you guys see the tweet? Where he's going through, he's talking about how he was in the special forces or something. He was sort of undercover, and he saw the inner workings of the cartels, and he said that some of the people that were at the top of the Sinaloa cartel told him that they were trained by Israeli special force, the IDF.
Well, we've got this article from 1989, the Los Angeles Times. Tape shows Israelis training cartels killers. And then there's another article that we've talked about on the show before, that the Sinaloa cartel is in possession of Pegasus, which was created by NSO Group, which is a zero-click. You don't even have to click on the text message. All they have to do is text you, and then they have access to your phone's camera, your microphones, your location data, the apps that you use, and you don't even have to click a bad link or type in your password or any of that. They can just unilaterally take over your phone, and that was that program that they used to kill. Was it Jamal Khashoggi?
Yeah, Khashoggi, right?
Khashoggi, right? They tracked this guy down to the foot and found out that he was at the embassy away from his wife, and they chopped him into little pieces and threw him down a drain.
He said that he was trained.
I got this clip up here. Let me just play this real quick. It's 60 seconds. Check this out.
Get rid of bodies by Israeli
The guy that was trained to get rid of the bodies for the Sinaloa cartel.
He was trained how to get rid of bodies by Israeli specialists that the cartels brought in to train them, right? And that was like suspect when I heard it. It sounds like something that's kind of made up. But then I saw some elements of actual experience and craft in what he was doing. So he basically made caustic soda to get rid of the bodies with a lot of stuff you can buy at any hardware store. Didn't get a lot of attention because he would always dress like an albañil, like a worker, like a construction worker. He would, make his caustic mixture, put a body in there without any clothing on. He would cut grid patterns on some of the tattoos and the face to get rid of that first. And he would dump that into a sand grater and get some of the solid pieces and put it in the next batch.
Oh
crazy.
my goodness.
Crazy, huh?
And then, here's this Mexican candidate assassinations hit grim record ahead of Sunday's election.
Yep.
That
Good
there were
Lord.
37 ahead of Sunday's vote. So basically, you've got these cartels knocking people off, which directly leads to Mexico's first Jewish president.
Right, absolutely.
That's not very suspect at all.
It's not suspect at all. I don't think we can do this topic justice. So we have discussed as a group that we're going to do a deep dive into this upcoming war with Mexico 1 month from next week. So it's going to be our April deep dive episode. So
Nice.
Also, speaking of April, we're going to have a special guest.
we are. Can we talk about it?
We could talk about it
Okay.
in person. Flights are booked.
Yay!
In person. Jake Shields is going to be joining us here in studio, and we're going to do a podcast, and we've got some extracurricular activities that maybe Dave will go and film.
Yeah,
I
it'll
don't
be
know.
fun.
We'll see. So it's going to
Backlash
be
after hours.
yeah, it's going to be cool.
I'm really excited. And then next week on Monday, we have Jolly Heretic. We have Edward Dutton scheduled. So we're really excited about that. And the following Monday is Devin Stack, our very own Black Pilled.
Yes.
Awesome.
So,
And
Great.
then on the 24th, now since we're plugging everything, we're going to be having on a really interesting guy, Father James Maudsley. He's a Catholic priest. He's from England. And it's also coincidentally going to be the feast day of St. Simon of Trent. So maybe we'll get a little history lesson on that. which
that would be great.
Very interesting.
yeah.
So we're bringing you the best content. So
The
super
best.
chat the show. Fill up the gold bar. We want that gold bar filled by the end of the show.
If you
And
do.
we've got some sound. Don't show them. We've got a soundboard for the super chats. The big super chats will get the cool sounds, and the small super chats will get shamed. And no, I'm just
Boo.
joking.
No.
I'm
Well,
just
I was going to
joking.
say
I'm just
if we hit the 100% mark on the, I'll give you my knife and you can go pop the balloons on stream.
I'll pop them with my teeth. No.
Shameless.
All right, take us away, or whoever.
Well, we can get into the Zelensky story.
Well, wait, did we had this?
I was going to can it, but
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, we can talk about it. So Trump has this executive order on making English the national language, which I actually did not know that it wasn't. I texted you last night. I was like, what? English wasn't English wasn't the national language of America? I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then I was reading about it today. Only 78.3% of the country speaks English at home
What the?
as their primary language. Can you believe that?
I think it's
Yes.
probably less than that. I did
yeah,
a
because
whole thing on
illegals-
this. Yeah, I did a whole thing on this like way back when, and the ESL programs are exploding in schools across the country. You know, he can go ahead and make the English the official language by executive order. Again, it's superficial. It's kind of
It's
like
totally
It's
superficial.
kind of
Right,
like
right.
there's only two genders. It's really stupid, really superficial. The only way you're going to force people to speak English is if you forcefully assimilate them in your local towns, local cities, local state. If state legislatures start say we're going to take down all the Spanish signs and we're not going to say press 2 for Spanish anymore, then maybe we're going to have we'll see.
No,
an
I
effect.
hate this. I don't want to do anything that assimilates anybody. Whatever we can do to keep them away.
Well, that's
make
what
them
it is.
different.
But that's what it. I mean, that's what it would.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also, I think you're right. I think it doesn't really do anything because all of the public programs that formerly required you to have other language as an option, now you just can opt out.
Right.
So what does this really change? People are going to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to
I
keep
was going to say, do you remember when we were in Austin last year? Was that just last year? That might
2
have been
years
last-
ago.
It was 2 years
2
ago.
years ago,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. See, time's flying. But I remember going to that Walmart. Remember when we drove to that Walmart and it was like nobody spoke English.
Nope.
The signs in the Walmart were in Spanish.
Yep. It's like that in Orlando.
It's like there are certain parts of this country where I think I've even seen street signs in Spanish.
Totally transformed.
Because it isn't a legal thing. Like the street signs don't legally have to be in English. They just like are in a lot of the country, but in some parts of the country, they're not.
Didn't used to be that way. It's kind of like, okay, yeah.
Una via, you know what I mean?
Cameron, do you want to jump in?
Before Cam chimes in real quick, if you look at what's going on at the border, okay, yeah, there's no one crossing or very few people crossing the border. It's like, okay, well, now you're locking down the border. We've got people inside that need to be taken care of. It's kind of like, you've got an infestation of, spiders in your home, and then you're sprinkling like spider repellent around your house. It's like you've got an infestation in your house that you've got to take care of. We haven't had any updates about deportations or arrests for a long time. There was this one story that I saw where they went to a town where there was probably like 90,000 illegals or something. They only arrested like 300 people.
What?
They're arresting like 300 to 500 people a day. This is not going to do it. You're going to get like 100,000 people out of the country by the
So
time
you're saying
Trump
we
leaves
need a
office.
bug bomb.
More people are going to come in legally by the time Trump
Yeah,
leaves
I mean,
office.
what was Howard Lutnick talking about? We're getting rid of the green card and we're going with a gold card now.
Right, it's so
where you can just
retarded.
pay $500,000 for citizenship, and it's like
Which I mean, fine. If you got $500,000 you want to come here, okay, fine, whatever.
No.
But
No.
People with $500,000 are not going to want to come here. First of all, millionaire Europeans don't want to come here. Anyway, go ahead, Cam.
It's just going to be the Chinese, more Chinese.
I was just going to say that this language problem goes a lot deeper than just Spanish. For
Right.
anybody that's been to traffic court or has had to go to a state court, and I tend to speed when I drive, so I get a lot of tickets. But when you have to go to some of these traffic courts or small claims courts, things of that nature, they will have people on staff whose job it is to translate. They'll have translators there that speak Tagalog, which is the language they speak in the Philippines, that speak Arabic, that speak Farsi, that speak Chinese. I mean, I've seen it all. And I used to be a teacher in my 20s. I worked for various schools in the public system, the public school system. And we had kids from all over the world, many of whom did not speak a lick of English, right? So this is a serious problem. It's going to demand constitutional reform. This is another illustration of the failure of our Constitution to define who we are, what language we speak, what the homogeneity of the country is all about. We're going to have to fix this, and it's going to demand top-down action for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, people are saying $5 million for the gold card. That's right, $5 million. Yeah, I said that on my show. It's like if you've got $5 million, like you're not gonna, like who's gonna
if you had $5 million, like why wouldn't you move to Tuscany?
right? Like just
Or like
just
somewhere nice.
Stay where you are. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that maybe there would be a reason for that for like vulture capitalists that would want to move here and then incorporate businesses.
Chinese parking their money
Yeah,
in
exactly,
real estate because they can't
exactly.
own anything in China.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, the only thing you can own, you can't really own anything in China, right, Cam? Like you can't officially like own anything in China. So they come here.
You basically lease it from the government.
Right, yeah.
I mean, it functions like private property, but the government has the right. I mean, we sort of have eminent like that here with eminent domain, but no,
Right.
you're right. There is no private property in China the way there is in the United States.
Right.
Unreal.
Man. Well, I guess we should talk about Zelensky in the White House. I don't want to rehash too much of what everybody already knows, but we should probably open with this clip of the heated exchange.
Anytime, Internet. Thank you, Elon.
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
that.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the
bad
very
position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From the
it.
very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War III.
what do you
You're
think
gambling
about?
with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to
respect
you.
to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
I love-
entire
He said thank you once.
Who said that? JD Vance.
JD Vance, yeah.
And
Say
weren't they like
please
yelling
and
at him
thank
for not
you.
wearing a suit? Like some
Well,
reporter
yeah,
was like,
that's so disrespectful. Wear a suit, man.
and then people were like, "Oh, well, Elon Musk doesn't wear.
That's
He's not a
different.
world
He's not a
leader.
world leader,
Yeah,
right.
he's not a world leader.
Yeah.
And I think that was funny. You know, if Trump had a handle on shit, if he was actually like doing shit, like this would be so much more epic. That was pretty fun. I mean, I got a kick out of that.
It was
He,
fun.
like, totally-
I got a kick out of it too. But still, it's another Trump thing where he's not actually doing anything. Like he didn't even have to have this meeting in a public forum. He could just be like, no more money.
Well, that's the type of conversation that happened, right? Yeah.
He'll wear a suit when he goes to meet with Bibi.
Yeah.
But those are the type of conversations that happen behind closed doors. I thought it was pretty cool for them to do that out in the open, for Trump to talk like that out in the open. I thought it was pretty cool.
I huffed like a lot of hopium that day.
It was
felt
pretty
pretty
epic.
good. My adrenaline was going. I
Trump
was
does
like,
some good
yeah.
shit, but Cam's just like Cam said. I mean, he needs to have the machine. He needs to be like it needs to be organized. He doesn't. There's no plan. There's no organization. It's all over the place. It's superficial move after superficial move. There's no like. We want revenge. We want dark MAGA. We want total transformational moves. We want them to go after entitlements. We need these war with Mexico. Like we need this shit to happen, and it needs to happen fast. Otherwise, we're totally fucked. forever.
Right. The European response was also somewhat hilarious. They went totally rogue. The UK, France, and other countries step up their efforts as a coalition of the willing. Do you remember hearing this around the Iraq time?
Oh, yeah.
The coalition of the willing. I thought that was interesting. And seek to involve the U.S. in their support for Ukraine. 18 world leaders, mostly from Europe, from 3 days earlier. Okay, so speaking at this news conference shortly after the meeting of the leaders, Starmer said 4 points had been agreed upon to keep military aid flowing into Ukraine and to keep increasing the economic pressure on Russia. That any lasting peace must ensure Ukraine's sovereignty and security. I mean, this is crazy. None of this is going to happen. And Ukraine must be present in any peace talks. In the event of a peace deal, to boost Ukraine's defensive capabilities to deter any future invasion, to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal in Ukraine and to guarantee peace afterwards. Putin, under no circumstances, is going to agree to any of these terms. This is absolutely a dream. And can we play clip 4?
Yes, we can in just a moment.
4.
Today, I'm announcing a new deal, which allows Ukraine to use £1.6 billion of UK export finance to buy more than 5,000 air defence missiles. We will go further to develop a coalition of the willing to defend a deal.
Okay, so where does this money come from? It's frozen assets from Russia. So they're basically stealing this money from Russia, right?
Well, I mean, either that or they're printing it because the Great British Pound is just as much a fiat currency as the U.S. dollar is. So they can just print this to oblivion. And the only people that are really going to suffer is the people in the United Kingdom.
Yeah. So they do this big session where they make these claims that are never, ever going to come to fruition under any circumstances. And then they say, but we need the help of the U.S. We can't do this without the U.S. It's like Trump unilaterally said, like, no more support, no more aid. This is not going to happen. And they're like, we're going to do all of these things. Here's $1.6 billion, but we need the help of the U.S. What are they playing at, Cameron?
Look, whenever I have discussions with folks about the elites, and you guys heard me go off on this before, there is this perception among a lot of very smart people that the elites, the globalists, are extremely competent Bond villains, that there's a specter organization that presides over all of these people, and they're secretly maneuvering everybody behind the scenes. But that's not the case. The elites are exactly what you see from Keir Starmer, from Macron, from Trudeau. These are people who are literal nitwits, who don't know anything about economy, who don't know anything about military power, and that is evidenced by their actions. They make appeals based on virtue signaling that have nothing to do with reality. Now, Keir Starmer is a flagrant example of that. So is Emmanuel Macron. Keir Starmer is extremely unpopular. Early in his tenure, he won an election where barely anybody voted because nobody has faith in the UK government or political system anymore, just like they don't in the United States for the most part. The Treasury, what they call the Exchequer, is bankrupt. They practically have to sell military equipment to raise government revenue. We're going to face the same thing in the near future as well. And they are not in a position to do anything. So what do? They host a conference where they get up in front of a lot of people and they go to a podium and they make all kinds of pronouncements as if they're Winston Churchill, which they are not. So they're just embarrassing themselves. The problem is, however, that Donald Trump should treat them accordingly. He should completely ignore these people, cut off funding to Ukraine. That meeting with Zelensky should never have happened. Zelensky, as we're going to see elaborated in just a minute in one of these clips, is a total criminal. Mm-hmm. He's no different than a Jefe in cartel, running the Sinaloa cartel. He's no different than any of those people. He's backed by corrupt oligarchs. He doesn't represent Ukraine. And as a precondition to talk to anybody in Ukraine, Donald Trump should have said, look, send me somebody else. Zelensky has stolen our money. He's undermined our interests, and he's perpetuating a war that nobody should be fighting. Why are you meeting with this person? And Donald Trump knows better. But this speaks to, again, where's the plan? Where's the organization? And it's not just the president at fault here. It's his entire staff. Why would you permit a president to be embarrassed like that? That should never have happened. But here we stand.
He also sounded drunk. Didn't he sound drunk?
Zelensky or Trump?
Zelensky during this
well, he might have been running low on cocaine now that Hunter's out of the White House.
Because I've heard him talk a lot, and he didn't sound. He was slurring his words a lot, and way more than normal. I was like, is he drunk?
No, that happens when people don't get their daily dose of uppers that they rely on,
or whatever drugs gays use, right?
Yeah.
Well, we did pause aid allegedly, although Judge Napolitano did point out today that we can't really prove that we've stopped aid. There's no way to substantiate that claim. And Zelensky, go ahead.
I was going to say there's also this article from BBC, and of course it's from the media, so God knows if it's real, but it says that the U.S. has now paused its intelligence sharing with Ukraine. That was just 4 hours ago that this happened.
Aren't they not sending weapons too anymore?
Allegedly,
yeah.
But it's the same thing. Like what's going on with this? Remember, like the Trump administration said they were going to cut the funding of the USCCB for the resettlement efforts. That's like the Catholic Charities group, and then they got a judge to put an injunction in and say that you're not allowed to do that. And then one judge is able to like reopen billions of dollars to go.
I mean, we wouldn't know,
The same thing would happen with Ukraine funding. I mean, I think that Joe Biden made commitments to like 2028 on our aid. And so if those are like contracts that they signed, then they're going to argue that Trump cutting those is illegal. And they're not allowed to do that. And so they're going to.
Well, I just thought it was interesting because Cam was actually saying we should do that it was last week.
Yeah.
And then
it happened.
Apparently we're doing it. So
Zelensky's changed his tune. Sorry, Cameron, go ahead.
No, play the clip. I'll add to it later.
It's clip 5.
Clip number 5. Boom. Don't you like the fast pace of the show? Loading. It's loading. This is what you get for Starlink.
There we go.
There it is.
We seek constructive cooperation, a relationship built on trust. What's happened at the White House instead of our planned negotiations is regrettable, but we must find the strength to move forward.
The president also used a post on social media to say, "We're ready to work fast to end the war, and the first stages could be the release of prisoners and a truce in the sky, a ban on missiles, long-range drones, bombs on energy and other civilian infrastructure, and a truce in the sea immediately if Russia will do the same."
What were you going to say, Cameron?
Look, this is a very dangerous situation. Okay, the Russians have they invaded Ukraine for a reason, and that is that they felt a direct and existential threat to their country from NATO expansion. And people forget that when the Cold War ended, when we more or less agreed to what are called the Minsk Accords, a precondition of peace was that there's a sphere of influence of sorts, that NATO not encroach upon territory adjacent to Russia that would threaten its national interests. Obviously, that's been violated. Worse than that, we've given the Ukrainians a lot of military equipment, which they've used to kill a lot of Russians. The SBU and others in Ukraine, they're murdering people, okay? There was a Russian intelligence general that was murdered in Moscow several months back. This is the pretext for a major war if we don't divest from this very, very quickly. World War I unfolded in a very similar manner to what we're seeing. You sort of see skirmishing, you see escalation, then de-escalation, escalation, then de-escalation. These Europeans who are advancing the notion that they should send peacekeeping troops, all that's going to do is provoke a major war between nuclear powers, and that can only end in disaster. Mm-hmm. So Donald Trump has a narrow window of time in which he's got to convince the Russians that he is on the path, that the United States is on the path to peace. If he doesn't do this soon, the Europeans and Zelensky will engineer a conflict one way or the other. They will, and we will be involved in that conflict. The very same thing is happening in the Middle East with Netanyahu. If we do not decouple from Netanyahu's agenda, he's going to attack Iran. He's going to go to war with Egypt. He's going to be embroiled in a conflict with Turkey, potentially. And then he's going to call Hegseth and DOD and say, I demand your help. That's exactly what the European plan is. They plan to send European troops, British troops or whatever, what little they have. They get killed, then we have to act on their behalf. You see how this is spring-loaded for a major war. We have got to de-escalate this and divest as quickly as possible.
Right. And of course, this was all reinforced by the propaganda that Zelensky is a more moral figure than Putin, that Ukraine has a more moral story than Russia. And when we get to the bottom of it, we really see that Zelensky's entire operation and a lot of Ukraine is a criminal organization. Can we play clip 6?
Yes. You're telling me that the guy that plays the piano,
well, also
the guy that plays the piano with his penis is more moral than Putin. Okay.
Also,
okay.
they were like #1 in the Pandora Papers, and people like admitted this. People knew this. Everyone knew this. Even liberals knew this. Right before they started to support this war. It's so funny to me that that the boomers, like my uncle and my aunt, they're like conservative, right, Trump supporters. They were flying a Ukrainian flag outside of their house, right, initially. And now they're like, oh, I can't believe I fell for that. But it's like, for some reason, the boomers just fall for everything. And then they forget about it. And it's funny because Fox News was the one who was like saber rattling, got them on board, in favor of Ukraine in the war, and like Putin is. And now it's Fox News who's like shitting on Zelensky and like cheering on Trump. And this happens with Fox News all the time. Back and forth. Before you play this clip, I just want to pull this up real quick. Zelensky says it will not be simple to replace him as Ukrainian leader. And I saw this earlier. Vladimir Zelensky tells Sky News, I am exchangeable for NATO membership. So he's basically saying, like, he'll step down if the U.S. accepts, or if NATO accepts.
He won't have
Ukraine
to, because he's going to get
NATO.
assassinated.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not going to happen fundamentally. It's like that's not even possible.
Hopefully
because the
not.
entire point of the war, the entire reason why Putin launched the special military operation, to use the Russian term for it, the correct term for it, was because of NATO encroachment. And so no matter what happens, if they join NATO, the war continues. Period.
Yeah, and we've said it before.
It's a red line. They've said it over
they've said
and
it
over
and over again.
And we've said it over and over again, on the show, probably on my show. Everyone knows at this point, but I guess it's worth repeating one more time. The only reason why NATO existed was because of the Soviet Union, right? And the Soviet Union fell, and NATO still grows, and NATO still continues to encroach.
Yeah.
And Putin was justified.
And a lot of that is because of the Operation Gladio stuff that NATO was doing.
Right.
After World War II, a lot of very prominent American generals realized that we were on the wrong side of that war and immediately began working with Hitler Youth, with former fascists, creating a network of stay-behind terrorist cells, basically, that would be activated by NATO in the event of a communist takeover of any country, basically, that was a member. And they were in bed. That whole Operation Gladio grew out in a way from Operation Underworld, where the OSS was working with Lucky Luciano, with Meyer Lansky.
I remember, yep.
And the criminal mafia networks, the Jewish mafia specifically, and so
Office of Special. What was it? What was the OSS stand
Office
for?
of Special Services.
And they were before, and
that was the precursor to the CIA.
CIA, right?
And just like the Pinkertons, well, not even, but like the Pinkertons were kind of the precursor to the FBI.
Right.
They just keep rebranding every 50 to 100 years, just long enough for people to not realize that it's the same group of criminals that are running everything.
What was the motto in the Israeli one? It was through deception
thou
we make
shalt wage war.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the Mossad. Anyways, we have a clip. Finally, it's up.
Understood, except amongst European elites, apparently, we'll get to them in a minute, that he is, in fact, a criminal, and he is, in fact, no longer the head of state of Ukraine. Nevertheless, until last night, the United States was continuing to keep the spigot of military supplies flowing and keep that spigot open. The Trump administration says that there's been a temporary halt. There's no way to verify this or to gauge it, but we'll take them at their word. If there is a halt, I know you're not a military guy, but you know geopolitics. If there is a halt on the supplies, how much longer can they last, Ukraine?
A few weeks. And of course, I'm not a military analyst, but when I was in Donbass, three weeks, less than 3 weeks ago, my commander friends in Donbass, from Donetsk all the way to Avdiivka and Ugledar, they said, look, if we're waiting for the order. The order means the Minister of Defense in Moscow. And of course, now the order might come, considering that if they give the order, the collapse of the 1,000-kilometer long front could be a matter of weeks maximum.
Wow.
Dude, memories are just flowing back to me right now of this time. Remember, like, the Ghost of Kiev?
Yes,
all
all this stuff. Yep. Yeah, man. I mean, they are going to assassinate him if things don't go as planned.
By the way, Judge Napolitano, if you're watching, which you're not.
Oh yeah,
you need like some help with your studio green screen.
Look at that green screen; it's so bad.
Put it up on screen real quick.
It's pretty
this
rough.
Is terrible.
It is pretty rough.
Also, the name of the podcast, Judging Freedom.
I think it's great.
It doesn't make any sense, and it sounds like AI made it, like Grok. He's like, give me a list of 10 names. And, Judging Freedom. He's never centered. His audio quality is terrible. It's like the best podcast on YouTube. I'm like, up your game with the production
come
stuff.
on the show. Let's interview him. Let's bring Judge Knapp on. I want to talk to. He's a traditional Catholic,
Yeah.
Which is interesting that like a lot of these people that are speaking out on it.
Hello. If you guys are not subscribed to Judge Napolitano, it is probably the only podcast that I watch every single day.
I watch it religiously.
Religiously. It's so informative.
Okay, so another clip from Pepe Escobar.
Oh. Judge, you mean the neo-Nazis? The neo-Nazi outfits, Azov battalion style, and they told Zelensky in his face over and over again, if you don't follow what we really want, that's it. You're done. And your family is done.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a criminal universe, sub-universe, in fact. Apart from
right, and then the war also can't continue if there's no communication because of Starlink. That's clip 7. And who controls Starlink? They have a good laugh about this.
Yeah, the name of the podcast doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Freedom?
Yeah, like how are you judging it?
Yeah,
like it's bad.
I didn't even think about
Am
that.
I
That doesn't
retarded
make any
or-
sense.
No,
I
think
like
that's
it.
true.
I think it's a good name. Whatever. Okay, here's the clip.
Deliveries. What they have will be sufficient enough for a few weeks, 4 to 5 weeks. And after that, that's it. And if there's no Starlink, which is a major if at the moment, the whole Ukraine armed forces are paralyzed. Everything.
Because they won't be able to communicate without Starlink.
Because they won't be able to communicate. Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
Unbelievable.
So their
But
days
you
really
see-
are
but-
numbered.
But you see in these clips the pathway to de-escalation. Get rid of Zelensky.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Cut off his equipment, his military aid. Stop sending money to a crime state where it basically vaporizes into thin air anyway. And if that happens, the front will collapse and the Europeans will have no pathway to get their war, which is what they want. They're trying to cause a war. So Trump has got to put 2 cents together here and execute this plan, because I'm telling you guys right now, if he doesn't do this, we could accidentally end up in a war with Russia. And that's the last thing that we need right now.
Yeah, it's like trying to play like a carnival. You ever go to the carnival and you play like the state fair and you play that basketball game and the hoop is oval and you're just trying to shoot these basketballs and you're just like spending money, $5 bill
I'll get
after
it.
$5 bill
Yeah.
trying to make these like that's what it is in Ukraine, except people are dying, except except like millions of people are dying. And the longer that we send aid and money, more white people die. I mean, that's essentially
Absolutely. And it's obviously not getting to the right places. Can we play clip 9?
And of course, the gravy train that involves the
love
Zelensky clan and everybody around him, SBU officials, etc., which everybody in the US now knows that roughly 70% of all the weapons that are sent to Ukraine do not stay in Ukraine. So it's the opposite of Vegas. They leave. They show up.
Where do those weapons go?
Cartel in Mexico.
Exactly. Anywhere across the global south.
Oof.
A lot of it goes to the cartels in
I'm
Mexico.
sure. Yeah. Can you imagine the nefarious actors that are now just walking around with all of our military aid? I mean, that's astounding.
With a country that we're probably going to go to war with
Yeah.
to some extent.
Yep. Those weapons will be used to kill American citizens imminently.
Yep.
And then let's talk a little bit about the elite reaction and how emotionally invested that they apparently are in the Ukraine project. Let's play 10.
Let me conclude, and this becomes difficult.
Ugh.
It is clear that our rules-based international order is under pressure. It is my strong belief that this more multipolar world needs to be based on a single set of norms and principles, on the UN Charter and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Boo!
This order is easy to disrupt, it's easy to destroy, but it's much harder to rebuild. So let us stick to these values, let us not reinvent them, but focus on strengthening their consistent application. Let me conclude, and this becomes difficult.
Was there like foreshadowing? This is so good.
When does it stop?
Let me conclude and
okay.
Yeah, there was there was foreshadowing. I was like, what's happening here? Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, it's just incredible to me. I mean, they're so invested in this.
Round of applause for a grown man crying.
I know, right? And
Wow.
then calling our current system a rules-based order.
No, it's not. People do what they want, and then
Right.
they just pay a fine.
It's a corruption-based order,
Yes.
and elites understand the rules surrounding the corruption. I suppose in that way, he's right. Cameron, what would you like to say about this?
Look, what you're seeing there is it's a microcosm of how these people think. Okay, Rebecca's exactly right. We're living in an age of hypocrisy, of overt corruption. At this very moment, you have a genocide going on in Gaza that's sponsored by these people, whether they're in France or Great Britain or Germany or whatever. They're subsidizing it. We are in the United States as well. In Ukraine, they've destroyed a whole country. Ukraine is a gigantic nation, is a breadbasket for the world, and they've utterly destroyed it. And they have no concept of how to end the conflict, no concept of what real war means. And that's the result. This is basically who's ruling Europe. The good news, though, is, and the reason I think this is an important clip, is because these people, it's not just that they are out of touch, that they're delusional. It's also they're incompetent. They don't really know what they're doing, and they're under tremendous pressure right now. So if this war doesn't come off in Ukraine, a lot of these governments are going to fall. The future of NATO is very short-lived, okay? We're at the end of NATO. We're at the end of the European Union. The rules-based order, corrupt and otherwise, is basically at an end. That's what that clip shows you, and we're entering into some kind of new world order. Now, we'll have to see exactly what that entails, but the good news is this globalist crap, it's on its way out. It's failed. It doesn't work.
I'm surprised he didn't say New World Order. I suppose you can't say that.
The old New World Order. We want to go back to the New World Order that we had in the 1980s. Not right, you know. I wanted to point out they were talking about this Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Have you guys ever read that? Oh my God, we've got to get Casey Whalen on the show. Independent journalist from here in North Idaho. He's been like chasing that down for a while because we've got like some of the most problematic George Soros linked type organizations up here. The Human Rights Education Institute that like, you know, grooms kids into the tranny ideology. They have a giant statue with the UN Universal Declaration of Human Rights or whatever that was paid for by a guy named Greg Carr. Greg Carr was like the guy that invented the wiretapping system that the Israelis hacked.
When was that written? When was it written?
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights? I don't know, probably in like the 70s to the 80s. But it's dumb. I mean, I'm sorry. Like the whole thing, when you read it, it goes directly contrary to the United States Constitution. It's anti-free speech. It's anti-free conscience. You're bound to accept what this group of people have to say about it. So.
I did see Casey Whalen's reporting on that. I saw something mention of George Floyd. Speaking of George Floyd, did you guys see the clip of Ben Shapiro calling for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned by Trump? Have you seen this? Like, there's this, like, a lot of people are talking about this. A lot of people are now calling for Derek Chauvin to be pardoned by Trump. It's a weird thing because if you look at what Ben Shapiro was tweeting before, and you can go, there's actually a screenshot. Yeah. Go, pardonderek.com. I wonder how much money he's making off of that website. But go back. There's actually his tweets. If you just go back to the timeline there, those tweets. Yeah, he's like talking about George. We all agree on George Floyd, bad cop, blah 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 blah. And now he's calling, like he's consistently at the time that it matters on the wrong side of every issue. He was attacking the Covington Catholic kids when that thing first came out. But
the vaccine, yeah.
I think Trump should pardon Derek Chauvin. It would be super controversial, and who knows what would happen. I'm sure there'd be riots. But you actually clicked on it.
No, I didn't click on it.
It like takes you to like his gold sponsor or something.
Jeez, no, it's just like a white page.
There's nothing there.
I'll click on the Mossad.
Get out of Lander. Get out of, it says /Lander. I don't know what that is. Landing page. Pardonderek.com.
It was pardonderek.com, right?
Yeah, that was it. Pardonderek.com. It's very interesting. I see him. I see a bunch of others calling for, which would be awesome. And the guy's rotting in prison. He's almost got killed in prison a couple times.
So
it's an email. It's an email. Oh, and
he wants to make a list.
An email list.
He wants a list of all the white people that want this guy taken out of jail.
Or he's just trying to make money off of emails. Yeah.
Well, but still, I mean, and like you've heard about how Derek or Daily Wire rented their email list to the DeSantis campaign.
Ew.
So like, by the way, when you subscribe to these different podcasts that, like the Daily Wire podcasts, you are putting yourself on a list. Your data is being sold to these big marketing firms, these big campaign firms.
Ugh.
And they are weaponizing that data against you to get you to vote for people against your own interests. Be very aware of that.
Yeah,
we are never,
it's always
ever
sold
going
as a
to
petition.
sell your data.
It's always sold as a petition. So any like online petition that you sign, it literally means nothing. Don't sign petitions online because they're
meaningless.
No
they carry
weight.
no weight.
And the only reason for them is to collect emails so that they can use it to sell your emails or to try to sell you something. And that's what he knows which way the tide is going.
Yes, and he can sense it, which is reassuring.
Yeah.
That is so disgusting. It makes me feel dirty.
Oh, well, if you feel dirty, there's an easy fix for that.
Really
And
proud of myself.
That is the North Idaho Tallow Company. At North Idaho Tallow, we keep it simple with grass-fed tallow. Time-tested ingredients, zero junk. Our soaps, balms, and lip balm are packed with bioavailable nutrients for your skin that it actually needs. Not fillers or endocrine disruptors, just rugged, reliable skincare that works. Ditch the synthetic garbage and switch to North Idaho Tallow Company. Get yours at idahotallow.com.
You gonna eat it again, buddy?
We're going to be adding a new.
Why do you keep grabbing that one? This is
he likes the charcoal.
This is the one I have at my house, and so
it does not cure his eczema.
It did. It didn't cure, but it stopped it from happening.
You can't say that.
Okay, but it stopped it from happening, and
Your eczema
started
stopped.
washing my face with this, and it's fine now. So
it's totally unrelated to the soap. Wink. This is my favorite one, the sandalwood. Oh, smell that. I mean, it's really the best. What else do we got? This is a coffee bar.
This is what your wife's hair smells like.
Oh, we've been using this soap for like a year. So.
Oh, really? Is that why? It
I
reminds
never
me
used
of
it before.
her.
I literally have never used tallow before until we started doing this.
Oh, it's the best.
And so I've been using it. And
Get the
I
tallow
usually
lotion too. That stuff is the bomb.
The dry skin on my nose.
You just got a thing. You got a sample.
Balm.
And the lip balm's doing really well and is awesome for those chapped winter lips. This is the only stuff I use on my skin. It's awesome. Everybody, please check us out. North Idaho Tallow. Wait, idahotallow.com.
idahotallow.com.
And most of it goes to, like, the vast majority of sales go to our show.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't get sponsors because of things we say. So
it's hard to get sponsors. We've
got
Antelope.
We do have one.
We got the tallow company.
We need your super chats and we need you to buy soap.
Yes.
So.
If you go to thebacklash.net/superchat, you can send us your super chats, your thoughts, what you think, your questions. I do have a super chat that I need to read outside of the normal, because somebody sent me an email. I guess they actually sent in a super chat and then we never saw it. And I felt kind of bad. And this was from
do that
a couple
now.
weeks ago. So we're going to do that now. This is from Lizard Killer. Lizard Killer for an unknown amount of money, but whatever. Just took my bread out of the pantry and it's covered in mold. Thanks a lot, Vince. Blacks don't put their bread in the fridge. They don't even buy bread. It's not covered by food stamps. They just buy Popeyes and Pit Bulls. Thanks. Okay.
Every black person's house I've ever been to, they've got Crisco in the pantry and they've got their bread in the fridge. That's what they do.
We should ask Bryson Gray where he keeps
his bread.
In the fridge, guaranteed.
No way.
All right, last chance to get your super chats in. Thebacklash.net/superchat, and let's read the few that came in through the show during the show.
We got one from Entropy, which I'll read out, from MGD for $50.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate it.
There we go.
There we go. So now we're going to do the salutes and the sounds.
We have a sounder for this. That's awesome.
We have a sound. MGD says, "This is my new favorite show. Keep up the great work. Also, I've been reading a lot of Whitney Webb stuff on Epstein recently. Haven't had my mind blown this much since watching Europa. Hopefully you can chat with her soon." Yes, I was actually tweeting back and forth with Mark Goodwin a couple weeks ago about something that he had put out. And we need to get them on.
Yeah, hit her up.
Whitney.
Tag the show. Hit her up on Twitter. Tag @RealBacklash.
Yes.
In the replies. Tell her to come on.
Absolutely.
We've messaged her a couple times, so we haven't gotten a response yet, but
it'll be fine. The Upstater sent $50.
Hey, cool. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Hey guys, love from upstate New York. Dave, I love you, man, but my name is not the Upstarter. It is the Upstater, like where I'm from. Everyone join the $50 super chat gang.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I think I would have said the same thing if I read
Yeah, I
it.
mean, if you send in like $50 and it's like, Upstarter, I'm a retard, I can't read.
No, because Upstart is a website. That is why you think that. It's a very popular website. Or is it Upwork?
Upwork. They're
Never mind.
actually based out of Moscow, Idaho.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're very good. They I shouldn't say this, but I was they reached out to me to go work for Libs of TikTok about 6 months ago, and the interview went really well. And then they found out who I was, and I never got a call back. So, anyway,
I think you're thinking of Kickstarter.
No.
No, I think she's.
No,
thinking
I was thinking of
Kickstarter.
Upwork and Kickstarter.
Put together
Oh,
the Upstarter.
got
Well,
it.
there's a business idea. Upstarter.
The Upstart.
I don't know.
You know, back when I was like a freaking gay normie con, in like
You should not admit to
2015.
that.
Now
We
you're
all
just
were.
gay.
Now I'm just a gay guy. I almost
Cameron's smiling.
I almost got a job working for, and I hate to admit this, but it was Dave Rubin's company.
Ooh, boo.
boy.
It's
Boy.
okay.
Yeah.
I had him on my show. It's all right.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you were an extra in Magic Mike. It's like, I was totally waiting for that one.
I wasn't an extra. I was the main.
He's Mike.
character.
That's him.
Big
Yeah.
Mike.
In the original, they remade
Put
it.
on the thong song and Vince is on stage.
the thong song.
Oh my gosh.
How do you know this?
Bill Biz sent $25.
Thank you.
Strange to see the leftist chaos at the CDA town hall meeting, especially after watching that awesome citizen response to the downtown Antifa threat several years ago.
That was so cool.
Hope
Yeah.
CDA isn't changing. Well, you
That
know,
was in 2020. That was called Gun Delane.
Gun Delane.
Delane,
I was-
Gun Delane, yeah.
There's like, was it June 6th, I think it was? And there is a group of people that like every year they get together and they do like a little commemoration of it. We have like a barbecue downtown with the Panhandle Patriots motorcycle riding
Oh, it was
club.
so cool. For those of you that aren't familiar, there was some sort of like really low level Antifa threat on businesses in Coeur d'Alene, and it was like every single business was being defended by a guy, like I don't know, like a 20 to 40 year old white guy with a giant gun. It was so awesome. So you just went down the street and it's just lined with men carrying guns. And then there was like no police presence because the police were like, citizens
handle it.
have it. Yeah.
I'm
It was
trying
so
to-
cool.
I'm trying to pull up like an image of it. There's got to be. Where is? Yeah, here it is. Here we go. Here's a good.
There
image.
it is.
Boom.
That's right
It's
outside the
like,
bank.
This is what every single street corner in Coeur d'Alene looked like
Yeah.
for that day. It was just filled with people with guns. It was awesome. Liberals were like losing their minds.
losing their
about it.
minds, and
they thought they
nothing
were
happened.
imminently going to be murdered.
Yeah.
No one got hurt. Everyone has good trigger discipline up here.
Even when I lived down 7th Street, there were people all the way down there just walking 7th Street. It was so cool.
What's the I'm not like a super.
I know like three people. In that picture.
You know, my family carries or whatever, but I'm not like a super, like, you know how some gun guys are like super into it. What is the argument against open carry from those people? Like,
I don't know. They talk about negligent discharge.
they believe that guns kill people. They don't understand that people use guns to kill people.
no, I mean
guns
from
are
the
not
gun
autonomous.
people.
Huh?
From the gun people, they have something.
Oh, the
against,
reason why
like,
they're against open. Oh, it's because if you have a gun on you and that's clearly visible, that can lead to escalation of the conflict
whatever.
very quickly.
Really, it sounds like a de-escalation tactic.
I think it's a thing. I think it's a deterrent from
Yeah.
I think it'll make liberals move. Like when I first moved here, I saw a lot of people that were
Yeah.
open carrying, and now there's very few. I haven't seen any. I think you should open carry, and it'll make liberals scared.
Do you know that
and
place in Post Falls? I think it's called Dueling Irons.
Yes.
Yes.
They give you a 10% off
If you
if you're
carry.
open carrying.
Yeah, there was it Rocco's on Sherman Ave? They're like the Asian food place. They were giving people 10% off if you open carried.
That's awesome.
Yeah, if you can
during
get
Gun Delane.
businesses
What's this
to do
bitch
that, that's
doing?
awesome.
This one? Oh,
Black Lives
she's one of the
Matter.
Black Lives
I
Matter
can't
people.
breathe.
I can't breathe. Hashtag George Floyd.
What is she doing? I like
Hashtag
how
on a poster board.
I like how everybody's just ignoring her. They're like, don't take this chick seriously.
Unreal.
Does she
yeah.
think more people will see your poster if she puts hashtags on it?
But no, so what's really interesting, I was going to point out, so this is, we were talking about him earlier, the guy that did the stuff on the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Casey Whalen, wonderful guy, great journalist. He just today put out the audio of, I guess the audio, he was going to let us have the video
God, she looks so crazy
Oh
in that
my God,
picture.
she's a crazy woman. But anyway, we got the records request back of the police detaining her. And she goes and lies to the police right to their face. You've got this woman, Michelle Lippert, who, by the way, if you live up here in North Idaho, be very aware. She's about to run for library board. She's awful. She is like the worst. She's totally Marxist, one of the first people that slandered me in the press. And she's going to be running for library board to make sure that the gay books go back in the children's section. We had solved that problem, and the liberals are freaking out about it. But what I was even going to say, and we don't have time to do it today, but it was so interesting to see this like town hall disruption. So interesting to see.
Oh, she raised since we talked about her GoFundMe, she's up 20K.
Wow, $334,000.
That was the most pissed off I've ever seen, Vince.
Everybody should go to this GoFundMe. Go to this
And report
GoFundMe
it.
and report it. It's fraud. That is fraud. If you read it, there's about 15 or 20 different statements that she had made in that fundraiser that are provably wrong. We have the video of the incident now. It's circulating online. That $334,000 is fraud. Go report this bitch.
What kind of retards are donating? Well, people that realize that this is a political cause only.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, people that want a way to filter money into the local Democrat ecosystem
Right.
without it hitting the campaign finance reports.
These
because
people, they have got
anonymous.
to be stopped. They've got to
do.
be stopped.
They do. But what I was going to say is what's so interesting, because we've seen it before. Maybe we'll do an episode on this or something, like the history of North Idaho, which I think is really interesting. But like this woman allegedly, okay, pulled a fire alarm at a North Idaho College Board of Trustees meeting. And then within a week, we saw pictures of activists from Idaho hanging out with Jamal Bowman. And then Jamal Bowman went and pulled the fire alarm at Congress.
Right.
And so then we have this crazy bitch over at Coeur d'Alene High School freaking out and biting security officers and causing a
Reportedly.
disturbance, allegedly.
We have it, the video.
Allegedly. And we have to say that for legal reasons. And then literally 1.5 weeks later, we've got Al Green from the state senator or representative from Texas that was causing a disturbance at Donald Trump's speech last night and got his ass dragged out again by security. It's like everything that happens in Coeur d'Alene happens nationally.
Tip of
It
the
just
spear, tip of the
happens
spear.
here first. So anyway, Coeur d'Alene is still great. Come up here. We've got a lot of good people, a lot of good gun-toting people. The best people, believe me. You've got to see it to believe it, folks. Come up to Coeur d'Alene, and we'll have a great time.
We'll have a great time.
Logan Orr sent $5. RFK didn't sell out. He said a few lukewarm things for power. Stop pretending Jews are your allies.
Wait, what?
They're not our allies.
They're not allies.
Who's pretending? RFK's the one pretending.
Logan, no.
What?
Don't hate us. We know that Jews are not our allies.
Yeah.
We know.
Hello.
What are we talking about here?
He must be talking about RFK.
You said RFK didn't sell out. He said a few lukewarm things for power. Stop pretending Jews are your allies.
I think he meant to say his allies.
Oh, he needs to stop pretending that. I mean, they killed his father. They killed his uncle.
Yeah, why isn't he
Logan
talking
knows.
about that?
Logan-
he was asked
Logan,
about
yeah.
it. He wouldn't even say anything about it.
Okay,
So
well,
it's-
Logan, we'll give you a pass on this one, but you got to send $25 in an apology.
No, Logan. You're the best, Logan. Thank you.
I'm kidding. A real Ubermensch sent $50.
Let's go.
I am so addicted to the backlash that my wife has started calling me Kunta Kinte. She also wants to know if Rebecca is coming from a job interview at a bank.
Yeah, I know. I
does
actually
look
don't
like
like
that.
this blazer. I've been trying to go for like racist Fox News host. That's what I wanted. Like when I was thinking about my wardrobe, I was like, I want to look like a hint of sexiness, but also like everybody knows that I'm racist. And I like wearing black. It makes me feel powerful.
Yeah, we could get you a nice little armband or something. You could put
Ooh.
on.
Yeah, Hugo Boss, donate so that I can get a Hugo
My
Boss.
heart goes out to you.
No, we need $100 for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
really.
No. Okay, Gorilla Hands sent $25. Hey guys, I love your show, and I've been a big fan of Becca and Vince since 2016. Cameron and Dave seem very intelligent. The Backlash is my favorite show right now, right after Ramsey Paul and Devin Stack's Insomnia stream. Shout out from a Boston Irish Catholic.
Hey, thank you so
Yo,
much. You
what part
can't compete with the Insomnia stream though. We'll never be as good as the Insomnia stream.
I want to know, Gorilla Hands, what part of Boston are you in? I used to live on Wadsworth Street over in the Gap in Allston, and we used to have like concerts in our basement. We had like a recording studio. It was kind of fun. I used to go to the Model Cafe, get absolutely trashed, lose my shoes, walk home in the cold. Those were different times. It was.
You know when you've lost your shoes, which has happened.
I
to me
literally
a long
came
time.
to the bar like 2 or 3 days later, and the bartender came up to me. He had like dreadlocks and everything, and he's like, "Buddy, is this yours?" And he pulled up like a penny loafer, and I was a total
Just
hipster.
one? You
Just
only found one of
I
your
walked
shoes?
home with one shoe in like a foot of snow. I don't remember. I do not remember it. I used to drink a lot of PBR back in the day. It's Lent.
Probably not such a good idea. Yeah.
It's Lent, by the way. We need to be giving things up
fasting.
for Lent. Fasting.
Yep, no
I haven't
meat.
eaten yet today. No meat, no eggs. No, I couldn't do no eggs. But I'm doing no alcohol, extra reading. I'm going to 1 extra mass a week.
Can I rent your chicken? Have you seen the? So eggs are crazy.
Yeah,
right
you've
now,
seen the
right?
chickens running
You've
around.
got chickens.
Yeah.
Did you hear about there's a new service that people are doing where people are renting like you can rent your chickens out through an app.
What?
Yeah.
That seems like
People are renting
it's
chickens
not a
for
good idea.
eggs.
I mean, what happened to just come buy my eggs? Because that was like a business strategy that we tried last year, and we
I
we
hate
couldn't.
those
Didn't work,
chickens.
yeah.
I love them. I just hate that they
They-
poop all over
No,
my
they
front
just
doorstep.
did you see me trying to come in here? They like rushed me.
I know.
Yeah, they try to
They
come
like
in the house
people.
every time.
I
They
will
like
kick
people.
a chicken if it comes after me. I'll do
My
it.
daughter actually let one of the chickens
Would
in
you
one
choke a
time.
chicken?
It was funny. Vince, when was the last time you choked a chicken?
Hey, you guys,
Years
Ash
and years
Wednesday.
ago.
Oh my god.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh.
I had to put 3 roosters down recently.
Except that
Toys
if well,
for
if you
Did you choke 'em?
unless
No, I shoot
you
them.
are talking about other people's, then it's only been a day.
But you were with Cameron last week, so how is that even possible?
But I saw him yesterday.
Poor Cameron, he's like all serious.
You couldn't choke my chicken if you tried.
Anonymous sent $10. Why is Vince failing to protect his daughters from college after gaslighting us for a decade that college is bad for women? Swipe on Tinder for white Catholic doctors, husband and grandchild in 2 years, not worthless associate's degree.
Well, my daughters are going to be
Are you suggesting to put the girls on Tinder?
no Tinder.
No Tinder.
One of my daughters is probably going to go to college. Well, definitely going to college. My other one is probably going to get married like soon. I might be a grandfather in like a couple of years, which is crazy.
Based?
Dude,
So we'll
we're
see.
talking about having another baby, and we're the same age.
It's crazy. It's pretty crazy.
He got married young.
Yeah.
My other daughter, she's going to be a vet.
You have to go to college
She's
for
going to be a
that.
farm vet. Yeah, you have to. Yeah. So she's just going to like a local college or whatever. But she's going to be a farm vet. So we'll see.
There is an argument.
She's actually fulfilling the goal, like the
Yeah.
goal that little young girls have to become a vet. And it's like
She's gonna do it,
She's
yeah.
doing it. Like she's literally.
There are a lot of people that do need to go to college, and we need people,
Yeah, we need people
in all walks of life from our sphere. And even for women that are not getting real degrees, I mean, it's a risk-benefit analysis. So, like, yes, they could be indoctrinated. They could. There's a lot of things with alcohol that can happen and things like that. But a lot of women meet their spouses in college, and then they drop out of the workforce, and then they start having babies. So if you don't send your daughter to college, like, yes, you can avoid that indoctrination, and that is a positive thing. But they are losing out on major opportunities to link up when they are very young if they aren't going to marry their high school sweetheart. So
Don't get me wrong. I am, for the most part, against educating women. Anyway, all right, let's go.
No, I just wanted to say I just got a notification that we just got a nice $115 Bitcoin donation.
Hey, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
So you can go on the backlash.net. We have a link with BTC Pay Server, and you can click on that and send Bitcoin.
And it's completely anonymous.
Creates a new address every
know.
time.
They will never know.
We also have
a
fundraiser page where you can see we've got 3 contributors over here.
Is that including the one that just sent?
No, that was just a straight up donation. So thank you very much.
That is so cool.
Send us your Bitcoin. We will put it to good use. We will not be selling it. We will be leveraging it, and
we'll talk about this.
Well, how can we make the donations go into that bar? Well, I guess we'll talk.
I mean,
about
people watching can literally just scan that.
Right. No, I just mean like, how do we see the bar? How does
there might be an integration with an API.
Oh my God, you guys.
On air meetings. Sorry about that. Where was I? Was I reading super chats?
You were.
Oh no, I wanted to say something about the super chat.
The Bitcoin.
The college thing?
Gaslighting us about college. Yeah, be aware of what you're getting into with college, but
don't go to college for something stupid.
Something stupid, yeah. But no, I mean, like I fundamentally agree with.
Well, if you're a woman, maybe you should go to college for something stupid, though. Did you see that viral video a few years back where all of those girls getting nursing degrees, which is not that stupid?
They make a lot of money.
They were all showing off their engagement rings.
Oh,
They're
well,
teeny,
if you're
tiny
going
little
to
engagement
college
ring.
for your MRS degree, that's different.
There's
That's
an
different.
argument to be made that women should do that.
Right. But I was just going to say that I fundamentally agree with Nick's take on this, that we need a new elite, that we need people to go into the institutions and get the degrees and get money and get power, because that's how this works.
We need venture capitalists.
We need venture capitalists. We need people
lawyers,
that are lawyers.
we need.
I've got a lot. By the way, it's really funny because like when I first kind of got into this dissident sphere, I had a lot of people coming up to me like, "What should I do?" And I'm like, "Well, number one, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Number two, we need lawyers." And so now I've actually got like 5 people that have all gone to school and graduated.
Oh, that's
and
great. That's
passed the
good to
bar.
know for when we inevitably have to tap into their services.
Nobody's passed the bar in Idaho, though. They're all over the country, but no one that can function in Idaho. So
we need engineers. Structural engineers would be great. Yeah.
True.
Electrician. We need people in trades.
Well, I mean, just generally speaking, if you get a trade, you've got job security because, people are always
AI
going
is
to
never going to replace it. Oh, did you see the story about AI softening the accents of Indians in call centers? Speaking of AI taking jobs.
Yeah. You tweeted about that, didn't you?
I did tweet about that. I was like, what the heck? Eventually, these call centers are just going to be like straight up 100% AI. It's it is kind of interesting to think about this because, the AI, I think the jobs that AI is going to replace first are like the high skilled jobs, like the computer program. Eventually, like coding is going to be done completely by AI, right?
Probably.
How about just not hiring them?
Right. How about just like not hiring?
What are we going to do with all these?
World's largest call center deploys AI to neutralize the accent of Indian employees. Well, that's dystopian. Wow.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. Okay, we've got Anonymous sent $5. The Ukrainian situation is understandable when you realize Zelensky's a Jew. No wonder he said, "We'll fight and feel their influence here."
Yes.
So that was a threat. That wasn't just like a prediction. That was a threat.
Do you guys know JF?
Gariba?
Yeah. He did the best, like line by line analysis of this interaction with Trump and Zelensky. It was so good. Go check out his Odyssey channel. If you haven't watched that, he has such insightful things to say about like what human interactions that would just go over my head or I wouldn't notice. And that was a really informative video.
Do you remember when it wasn't it him and Andy Worski who ran the debate channel?
Oh, that was great. Internet Blood Sports.
Yeah, was it him?
It was him, yeah.
It was him and Andy Worski. Yeah, that was back in the day.
That's a strange pairing.
Man, that was a long time ago.
Those were the days.
Those were the days.
It was fun. It used to be a lot of fun.
True.
It's a new era, though. This is fun, too.
This is fun.
This is an important super chat, though, because he's exactly right. Look, you've got 2 principal agents of destruction, one being Zelensky, the other being Netanyahu, and they both hail from Zionism. So this is what we're dealing with, is militant Zionism. And ultimately, if we, as I said earlier, if we do not decouple from these folks, they will ensnare us in conflict. It's just that simple.
True. Very true. Big Mad Lad sent $5. I went to order some North Idaho tallow soap, but I couldn't find the racial cleansing option. Is that scent still available? Also, can you start selling lampshades too?
Oh my God.
We should literally.
Bro, they're going to pull the contract if we do this.
I told you guys.
No, that is
will
not
never.
what they do. This is a different, they have three options.
Start selling
Peppermint vanilla, sandalwood, frankincense vanilla, and coffee scrub.
you
There is no
And racial cleansing.
No.
That's
We're
funny.
gonna get our asses handed to us by these sponsors.
We should ask them to add some lamps.
What does it even smell like? Oh my gosh.
Some chew fat lamps.
Vince, get it together.
Oh my
This
god.
is a reputable company.
Yeah, we're never gonna get sponsors if they
Some
see
Jew
it.
tallow lampshade.
Okay, by the way, I have been talking with a sponsor in Sandpoint, and they're watching this episode
Wonderful.
to
Great.
see if they want to sponsor us, which now they don't. I mean, let's see. I'm
Probably
sure she's
not.
already
Which
messaged me
now
and is
they
like,
don't.
ooh.
By the way, the soap is not kosher, so there's pig lard in this soap. So just be aware, especially to our Muslim brothers who are going through Ramadan right now. Don't buy this soap.
How
and
many
smear it all
Muslims
over
do you
your
think are
body.
watching this show?
2.
You think we got 2?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think we got 2. I'll be generous. Anonymous sent $5. Since we are looking for new states and Trump needs to make peace, do you think it'd be possible for Russia to be next? Should solve lots of problems for lots of people, and he could spin it as a win. Oh, okay. So we just take over Russia?
There is that project where you can get land in Siberia, farming land.
You can grow things in Siberia?
That is where it is. Cameron, do you know anything about this?
No.
I have no idea.
No clue.
You get a grant if you have some kind of farm. I don't know what I'm talking about. Let me know, live chat.
Yeah, please also take off those
No,
glasses.
I can't see anything. Just let me wear my
Okay,
glasses.
fine.
Oh my gosh,
For now.
what is this?
This is the
Are they
only time.
leopard print?
Yeah.
This is the only time.
Okay, fine. Anonymous sent
They're an
$5.
accessory. It's an accessory. There's not even you don't even have lenses in there.
What are you talking about?
Okay.
You can see the
All right, I
reflection.
can see it. All right.
You guys are
They're
jerks.
real.
Wait, put that back on. I put my
I will.
glasses on.
I'll put
to
it
read
back on. It only goes. How do I change how much time it shows on the
Replay
screen
it.
for?
Replay
I
it.
got to hit the replay button.
I can't. put my glasses-
Anonymous sent $5. If Trump said something like, "There's two sides to a war, and sometimes you need to give a bit to get what you want. I promised an end to this war. The Ukrainian side didn't want peace. I worked out a deal with Russia, our 51st state, and for an end to it. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
You can't help yourself, can you?
Me with the accent.
Yeah.
I'm
so
sorry.
sometimes I'm just talking to Dave about non-Trump related stuff, and he just goes into it. He
I
doesn't
just
realize
click into it.
And then he also has this like Jewish, this
Gilbert
old Jewish
Gilbert
woman
Gottfried.
voice.
Yeah.
Gilbert
Yeah.
Gottfried. Yeah.
Oh,
Which you
it's-
can do that voice in Power Chat. We got to set that up.
It's text
anyway.
about my glasses. I guarantee it. Love the glasses.
Oh, geez.
Thanks, Derek.
Robert sent $25. Sucks you lost a sponsor, Vince. Well, now we know why. Take it with pride. It lets you know that you're over the target. You guys always are. The United Kingdom has less than a standard battalion of active fighting tanks in service. The United States is running out of arms as well, but that is laughable. True.
Thank you, Robert. We appreciate it.
Yes. Now, of course, because my finger slipped, it's going to stay up on the screen for a minute.
Oh.
We were doing really good with like the tech
So-
side
so
of
you
the show,
can
and
do
then
it
it's
then.
like gone down. Maybe I need to drink more blue methylene or something. Okay, there we go. Reinhardt sent $25. I am wary of the alternative alliance rumors I'm hearing. I worry that the Russo-American alliance will be used to justify ramping up hostility with China, aka more forever war.
That's a serious consideration.
Cameron?
Yeah. So the motivation, I suppose, behind this question is that Rubio and what's his name? Colby? I always forget his first name. What's his first name, Dave?
Colby?
Elbridge Colby?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. That these folks, they're interventionists, just like every other administration we have, but that their principal focus is on shifting away from Russia as an enemy to China as an enemy, which is equally stupid and counterproductive.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be able to affect that pivot, but we'll have to see. Again, if you staff your government with warmongers, people like Marco Rubio, this is what's going to happen. I don't know. I hope for the best. My hope is, just so we're clear, is that we go into a financial crisis and we simply run out of money. So we can't finance the war machine anymore. If that happens, then I think domestically things will go into chaos, but Americans will have no part in any interventionism overseas. If the financial system holds up, if Trump and Doge are able to, through smoke and mirrors, sort of patch up the fiscal situation, watch out, because we're going to go to war with somebody.
True.
I hope it's Mexico.
Mexico would be based.
It should be Mexico.
Not Iran.
It should be Mexico.
Or
Not Iran.
China.
Not Iran.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're right, Rebecca. Iran, China, Russia, North Korea. I mean, these people, they're just not satiated until they blow up the whole world.
True. I think we got some Streamlabs donations that aren't showing up over on Power Chat, which is interesting. Egrin donated $50.
Let's go.
The tallow bellow into balms to calm Tom. Need more books. On Monday, a Montana judge roundly rejected homeowners' legal challenge to new laws allowing duplexes and accessory dwelling units in single-family areas.
Yeah, that's how they change demographics.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly how, fight as hard as you can against that locally. Even liberals will join you because they don't want to live around diversity either.
They don't.
But that's, this is long time coming. I mean, you go back to Clinton. Clinton had a program to do this. Obama had, the affirmative fair housing initiative where they literally said that they want to put in low rent Section 8 housing into areas that have over 50% white people. Like this was explicitly stated. It goes back to Clinton. You look into, part of it. You look at when they moved a lot of the blacks from Chicago into Iowa, and the only thing that happened was they weren't better off economically. There wasn't their economic attainment and educational attainment didn't turn out better off. What happened was they increased crime in the area that they were moved to. So it's fight as hard as you can against that locally.
Yeah. H tipped $10. Here's some shekels for you greedy fellow white people. Thank you. We're not really that greedy, though.
Thank you.
We're just fucking poor.
That's true.
Okay, and I think that catches us up on Streamlabs, and Entropy is still just showing the one. And now it's gone because Entropy's got some goofy glitch, and I don't understand what's going on there. Okay, so anyway, we're good. We're all caught up.
Did you know we hit 5,000 live viewers tonight?
We did.
We did.
That was probably...
If my addition is correct, because I was just adding in my head on... Because there's no total.
Oh.
You can usually see that on Restream. But whatever.
Restream shows. Let's see. We've got 3,000.
Show you.
That says 3,445.
At some point, we were at 5,000. That is so awesome.
Before
amazing.
the super chats, yep.
Make sure you visit North Idaho Tallow at idahotallow.com. Proceeds from the lip balm, the soap, the lamp. No,
the lampshades.
It all goes. Not all of it, but a vast majority of it comes back to help sponsor this show. And there's going to be there is a 4-week lead time on the soap. They've got to create it. They've got to cure it. And so now, if you go on and you order like lip balm and face balm or whatever, that stuff will ship out within a week. So you'll get orders without soap faster.
Because it doesn't need a cure.
Because that doesn't need to cure,
right.
Correct.
It's supposed to be soft, yeah.
And there's going to be new editions coming. I was speaking with them earlier today. So there's going to be new additions to their store coming soon. There's going to be a Soap of the Month club. They're going to add the sugar scrubs and fragrances as this relationship continues. So please support them. They support us if you like content like this.
We really appreciate it. What a fun show that was. And remember that on Monday we have Edward Dutton. The following Monday we have Black Hilt.
And then the following Monday we have Father Maudsley, and we are working on getting some other big names, Ian Carroll.
Yep. And then we have Jake Shields in the flesh in April. And then Cameron and I are cooking up a very interesting episode for next Wednesday. So we're super excited. Thank you so much for joining us and for donating and for watching with us. Have a happy Ash Wednesday.
See you, everybody.
Thank you.
you.